Welcome to this edition of Startup with Poland, where we speak with some of the movers and shakers from the Polish startup ecosystem. My name is Tessa McIver, and I'm your host. Now, I met today's guest, Ammar Akhtar, at an event in Warsaw, which was actually about scaling your business to the UK. But what really fascinated me in Ammar's story, who is currently in the UK now, that he actually began his journey in Pakistan, then moved to Dubai, then to Poland, then finally to Wales. And I really wanted to find out more about the contrasts in these different places. His company itself, Finalrentals, is also growing at a fantastic rate, and that in itself is also a fantastic story. But let's find out about all these aspects and welcome Ammar to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Really looking forward to our discussion. And thank you for having me, Tessa.
No. Well, the moment I heard your story, I knew that we had to invite you to the show. But let's start, with your journey, which has really had some twists and turns. So from Pakistan to Dubai to Gdańsk here in Poland and currently Wales. I mean, this is quite a journey, a physical journey, aside from the business journey itself. But, if you could tell our viewers, what caused you to make all these moves and what were you doing actually in each of the locations that you moved to and from?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a journey of a migrant entrepreneur from one place to another. So I'm born and brought up in Pakistan up until I was 19 years old, and I was running a small tech company back home in Pakistan in Karachi, and we used to make mobile games. I'm talking about the pre-App Store era. So we used to make those Java games for Nokia phones and Sony Ericsson phones, and it used to make decent money, to be honest. For a 19 years old, and just at that time in Pakistan we had a different regime. We had a dictatorship, and they were basically investing money in technology. So. Mm-hmm. Taking delegations to Dubai, delegations to other places. So I was a part of the Software Export Board of Pakistan delegation to Dubai, to GITEX. That was my first ever foreign tour out of Pakistan. And when I reached Dubai, I'm like, man, I should be here. This place has the buzz energy of just like what I have back when I was 19 years old. So I decided I'm going to move to this place, and this is going to be my next, let's say, Silicon Valley, for example. So I moved to Dubai in exactly on Jan 20, 2007. And I worked there for almost 16 years. I worked in the industry for car rentals, built all the car rental booking systems, you name it, and I built for them. Budget, Thrifty, Dollar, Europe Car, many countries over 16 years. Worked for Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, all these companies in the GCC. And while I was working for those companies, I was always checking data and checking the trends, and I could understand that all the bookings were coming from online platforms. So like Discover Cars, VIPs, Kayak, Skyscanner. And I was thinking, what about small companies like a Tessa's car rental that is not branded? How will they get business? And that was a shocker for me, because they were not. You can't find them online, on all these platforms. And I was like, wow, that's a great opportunity. So that's when the idea of this thing came to my mind of building something called Finalrentals today, right? And but Dubai was a fantastic run up until COVID-19, when there was no real support, for example, for startups and businesses. Mm-hmm. We were still paying our rent and paying everything as normal, and that was a shocker for me, because I could understand that in the world there was support for entrepreneurs and founders to go through this difficult time. So then I applied for TechSeed Poland Prize program. I got into it. Then I moved to Gdańsk, lived in Gdańsk for 3 years, loved it. Still my little home. I still go back quite often. And then from Gdańsk, finally moved to Cardiff.
You just couldn't make the story up with all the different locations. Coming back to your time in Gdańsk, which, as you said, you loved it, that you do return to Gdańsk often. But what were the specific things that really you appreciated most? And I guess I mean both in terms of your personal experience, but also obviously from the business point of view, growing your company at the time. But also, what are the things that were most challenging? So if you could tell us a bit more about that, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have done my MBA, from Italy, from Milano Politecnico, and I already had some kind of understanding of how the European business ecosystem works, and how it works overall. But of course, I had no idea how about Polish economy, about how Poland works. So when I moved to Gdańsk, Gdańsk was a fantastic experience because it is not as big as Warsaw, but it's not small either. There are three cities. It's a very uniquely positioned place. So you have Gdańsk, you have Sopot, you have Gdynia. It was fantastic, being there, and we had the other foreign founders also, joining my cohort. So it was like a little family, in that place. So Gdańsk is and will always be very special because that place really gave me this understanding of scaling globally. So
Hmm.
before moving to Gdańsk, we were having only our presence in Dubai and the Northern Emirates. So it was Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, and all these places. But when I moved to Gdańsk, I got my first ever global customer, and that was Malta. And then from after Malta, we had Miami. Strangely, both
Wow.
would start with M, right? So Malta, Miami, and then floodgates open. We expanded in the Caribbean, in Latin America, in the European region, and then of course raised funding, from Cardiff, from also from Dev Bank of Wales. So then the whole journey just scaled up it just many notches higher. Yeah.
That's fantastic to hear that really Gdańsk, apart from being a wonderful city, that also helped you on that journey for learning about scaling. But again, going back to the potentially negative things, there always has to be something negative. What did you find challenging, either from the point of view of the fact that you were growing your business, or indeed from the point of view of just you personally, whether it was the weather or any aspects that were less easy to go along with?
So obviously weather, like I mean, imagine from Dubai 40 degrees to a -6 or -10. I mean, that was a shocker because I remember my first ever winter evening in Gdansk, and I think it was November when it was proper winter coming in, and it was pitch dark at 2:30 p.m. and I was working from my office and I could see this view, and it's dark. It's like night. It's like 10 p.m. and I'm like, do I have to go home or do I have to stay, working here? So that day I actually went home. So while I was working home, I realized that everything was working as normal. People were still finishing their shift. They were still working in the office. And I'm, you know what? This is business as usual here, Amma. You have to get used to it, right? So I used to walk every day, to office. I was in Olivia, Oliva Business Center, and it was a good walk from where I lived. So I got used to the weather. It was not a problem. I think the problem with, let's say, not just Dansk, maybe with Poland, is I think it has very, let's say, if you compare the Asian, let's say, migrants, I think it is still, let's say, they're very less, like you will not find many Indian people or Pakistani people. Yes, you will find people from let's say from Ukraine, or from Belarus, or maybe from China, for example. They have businesses there, but you will not find many from my community, let's say. So it was a bit awkward, being the only brown guy in the room, many times. And okay, it's good and it's bad. I mean, it's good in a way that people know you. They can identify you. If you're famous, then they know this guy is this Asian guy. Yeah, Amma, fantastic. Otherwise, it can also work against you because you are the odd one out. So people, work in, let's say, in a community, in between them, and you will find it hard to, let's say, get going, or let's say, it will be difficult to break the ice. So I think both things. Like I've seen both of the worlds in Gdańsk and also in Warsaw. But I would say more often than not, it was always a pleasant experience, I would say.
Well, great to hear it. I mean, you've spoken a little bit about Final Rentals, about how you got the idea for the company, but can you give our viewers a little bit more insight into actually how the solution works, and also what stage of development you're at? Where currently is the company?
So at the moment, we are in 34 countries and counting, around the world.
Wow.
And it is growing very fast. So how it works is, in a very simple way, if I have to say, we are the Amazon of car rental. So for example, if you're a car rental company and you want to sell your cars online and you have no idea, how to do that, you can join our partnership program. You will list your cars on our cloud solution, and then our cloud solution automatically will distribute your cars to other platforms, and you'll start getting bookings like almost instantly. So a company that had zero revenue from the e-commerce channels before joining our platform is making now anywhere between £12,000 to £250,000 a month using our tech.
That's amazing. That's, just such a fantastic success story, and the fact that you're helping actually so many companies is just amazing. What I was also really fascinated by when when we first met, when I first found out about Final Rentals, is that you bootstrapped the company to more than €1 million in revenue, which is also actually really impressive. Usually, immediately companies are looking for running to the VCs and so on. But why did you decide to bootstrap in these early stages?
So I would say sometimes ignorance is bliss, right? So when I started the company, I had no idea there's something called fundraising. So I wasn't interested in that. I was just running a business. I thought like a businessman, let's say, versus thinking like an entrepreneur or a founder. So I built a very big office near Burj Khalifa in Dubai. I had some life savings with me. I put the money in. We had billboards across Sheikh Zayed Road in Dubai, and we were running ads on ZTV, Z Network, and it was huge. But fast forward 9 months, within 9 months, I lost all that money. Right. So it was a shocker for me. I'm like, wow, okay, so it's not that easy, isn't it? So then I started again in a more lean manner, right? Still, I had no clue about raising money, how it works, and how to even get started. So the first 3 years I bootstrapped, experimented with many things, but I found my sweet spot. So I raised money actually after finding my product market fit. When I was 100% sure this works, and if you cycle it, it will get bigger and bigger and bigger. So when I raised funds, actually, so my investors were like, wow, this is fantastic, because they have invested money in startups where they haven't found the, let's say, the fit as yet.
Yeah.
There was revenue, for example, pre-revenue, or let's say about to get revenue, maybe experimental. Whereas I was paying bills, I was paying salaries, I was already a running business, properly established business, right? So when I raised funds and when I learned about raising funds, that there's something called fundraising, for example, I learned it when I actually moved to Cardiff. So then I was like, oh, okay, so I can actually make it really big, like Uber or like a Shopify or like an Amazon. Oh wow, so that's how it works. Fantastic. So I learned it very quickly and then raised funds, and now I have raised funds twice. So we had a pre-seed round, and a lot of people said it's a fluke. You are just you just got lucky. I was like, okay, fine. And now we have raised our second round. Hopefully, now you can't say that I got lucky. I really do something.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, everything in life, I believe, needs a little bit of luck, but the luck is the very small bit. The rest is, the hard work and the talent and the sweat and tears, that get put into it. And I have no doubt whatsoever, Ammar, that this is exactly, what you've done, as well as having a, fantastic idea that indeed has the product market fit. So, that also is essential. I'm really interested, now that you are in Wales, of actually a comparison that you can make of the startup ecosystem or innovation ecosystem, as you will, but in Poland as opposed to Wales and the UK. What are the main differences and the similarities between these two ecosystems?
So I will just give an example of, let's say, being in Gdańsk and being in Cardiff. I think both are very similar sort of cities. Let's say not very big and not very small either. They have all the resources. Polish ecosystem was incredibly, living on, let's say, these grants. So there was a grant for almost everything. Okay, maybe it's not related to me, but for almost every industry vertical, there's a grant by PARP and many other organizations, which was fascinating for me, because that means you are pumping cash into the economy and you're making it big and bigger, right? And you have to manage the cash flow really well. So Poland is in that mode where it is pumping its economy to the next level. I'm not sure what happened in the last 2 years, but while I was there, I saw that it was really growing as an economy because of these grants and creating new and new entrepreneurs every single day, which is fantastic. Whereas Wales is slightly on a different position. Why? Because Wales is a country within a country. So how it works is it's a country in itself, right? And then it has to also report to, let's say, London government. but it also has its own government, right? So it's not, it cannot just give away grants, like so quickly, and it takes a lot of time. But what is good in Wales, or let's say what is good in the UK as a whole, is investor is incentivized, while he's investing. So there are investment
Uh-huh.
schemes like SEIS and EIS, where when you invest £1 in a business, you get, let's say, half a pound back almost immediately as a tax credit. I think that is fascinating, right?
Yeah.
That is what making our economy grow. So in Wales, I think it's very easy to have pre-seed capital raised or seed capital, whereas that might take a lot of time in Poland at the moment. You might be able to get a grant much quicker than raise money. So these two things are, let's say, contrasting differences between the two countries.
Okay. And what about from a perspective of living in each country? I mean, where are the biggest differences or highlights there?
I think because UK, and my country has been a part of the Commonwealth, and we had a history of living together 100 years back, for example. So there's a lot of connectivity between, let's say, subcontinent and UK. So when you come here, around the corner you will have a Pakistani shop or Indian shop, or you'll find many people living here, born here. Of course they are British, of course, but they look like you, right? And you're like, okay, so right, but that person has no clue what is Pakistan, but you can still draw some kind of similarities, maybe in the food, culture, language, whatever. So I think in that way, UK is much more, let's say, integratable, for a subcontinental person versus Poland.
Okay. Okay. But what's the thing you miss most about living in Poland?
What I really miss is those beautiful spots, shipyard, all those cafes, all those places, fantastic beer. Of course I miss that. So of course there are many things actually.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Ammar, next time you're in Poland, then we must definitely go for a beer together in that case.
Absolutely. And if you're ever in Dansk, and I'm also in Dansk, I must take you to shipyard. It's a nice place. You'll like it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we have that. We will get that in the diary at some point. Ammar, finally, I'd really like to hear about your plans for the future. Both, what do you plan for Final Rentals? What are the next stages of development for the business? And of course, as well, what are your next plans from a personal level? Any more moves to any more exotic locations on the
No,
cards?
no more moves. I'm tired. I'm old. I'm tired, to be honest. So this is my last move, to be honest. And the plan is very simple, Tessa, because now that I've seen this, journey. I've spent 21 years in an industry, right? If you count when I was 19 and now, I'm 40. So now my plan is simple. I really want to make it big. So I've spent a lot of time on Final Rentals. Now we have raised our second funding round. Now we have a plan to be a $500 million company in the next 4 years, right? And the stage is set. So all it needs is just press the accelerator and make it really big. So now I'm going all out. We're adding more people into our team. We're building the next generation team of all stars. So in the next 4 years, if everything goes as per the plan, you'll see that we will be right up there knocking the doors, with the likes of Hertz, Sixt, Enterprise. I really want to make this one of the largest car rental ecosystem ever in the world.
Well, I'm beyond confident that you will get there. I will, of course, be observing and cheering you on from the sidelines. And yeah, okay. So you're not planning to leave Wales. You found your home
Yes.
after testing various locations. But fantastic to hear that you do plan and that you do regularly come back to Poland and plan to continue doing so.
Yeah, absolutely. Poland, will always, be a part of our organization. We still have an office there in Gdańsk, right? And in our plan for the next generation of team, right? We are also now finding, a couple of more, people from Poland who will join our team. So Poland has been a very special place for my business, and that's from there we have grown to the world.
Ammar, wonderful to hear it. Thank you so much. I think your story is a real inspiration. As I said, keeping my fingers very tightly crossed for Final Rentals, although I don't think you need my fingers because you're doing fantastically. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us, and good luck with everything.
Great, thank you very much. And no, we always need best wishes and prayers from our friends and And yes, thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you to our viewers, and see us next time for Startup with Poland.